Imagine that right now, as you are listening to this, somewhere in the cosmos, like an exact opposite version of you is experiencing your exact same emotion.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you are deeply anxious in this moment, they are in profound danger. Or if you are overwhelmingly happy, they are literally sitting in heaven.
It's a heavy thought.
It really is. So today, we aren't just talking about, subatomic particles in a vacuum. We are talking about the quantum physics of your literal destiny.
Then we're pulling from a remarkably ambitious 2015 essay for this.
Right.
It's titled Exploration of Life, Quantum Entanglement, and the Other by an author named Su Feng.
And that was translated by Kinyu, I believe.
Yes, exactly. And since you, our audience, are already well-versed in the basics of non-local strong correlations in quantum systems, Einstein's famous spooky action at a distance.
Spooky action, yeah. Always love that phrase.
Right. Well, we're going to skip the Physics 101 today. Instead, our mission for you is to explore a wild thought experiment.
So we're diving straight in.
We really are. We are looking at how Feng takes that mathematical reality and just completely subverts it, mapping it onto ancient Eastern philosophy to argue for literal human entanglement.
Wow.
Yeah, and the existence of an actual physical other half out there in the universe.
Okay, let's unpack this, because if we accept the premise that non-local strong correlations aren't just, mathematical quirks, but actual physical laws, we really have to look at how Feng applies those laws to biological conscious beings.
We do.
Because we all know that two entangled photons will instantaneously mirror each other's spin states across, 100 light years.
Absolutely.
But Feng doesn't just stop at photons, right? The essay insists that this foundational law scales all the way up to the macro level, manifesting as, of all things, human emotion.
Yeah, the author basically translates the scientific reality of entanglement into the Eastern philosophical concept of affinity, or yuan. And in this framework, affinity isn't just some poetic idea about soulmates or cosmic chemistry.
Like a rom-com kind of thing?
Exactly, not that at all. It is proposed as a literal, non-local information channel. So as long as this affinity exists, spatial distance and the decay of time are completely irrelevant.
It's just totally out the window.
Right. The transfer of information is instantaneous.
Okay, I mean, it's like having two perfectly synced dancers on opposite sides of the universe who can't see or hear each other, yet they never miss a single beat.
That's a great way to picture it.
But I have to push back a little on the emotional leap the author makes here.
Okay, sure.
Because I understand the fractal nature of the universe, the idea that the rules governing the microscopic building blocks must eventually influence the macroscopic house.
Yeah, surely.
But Feng suggests that if one particle, quote, cries, the other inextricably cries.
Right.
How do we get from a sterile physics concept like a photon's polarity to something as messy and deeply emotional as human crying? I mean, a math equation doesn't have a soul.
Well, what's fascinating here is how the author bridges this exact gap by entirely rejecting the idea that physics and consciousness are separate fields.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Feng argues that the universe is fundamentally a unified body composed of opposing factors. So if you look through the lens of Tai Chi or yin-yang thinking, everything operates on duality.
Always two sides.
Right. Light and dark, up and down, matter and antimatter.
Particles and antiparticles.
Precisely in that structural sense.
Mm-hmm.
The essay posits that quantum entanglement is simply the observable relationship between a specific particle and its antiparticle counterpart. They are bound together in what the author calls 1,000 years of harmony.
1,000 years of harmony. That's a beautiful phrase.
It is, yeah. But that harmony exists strictly because of their structural opposition. The universe actually relies on this tension to maintain its form.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because the author then takes this structural opposition, this matter and antimatter dynamic, and scales it up to human biology. The essay's grand hypothesis is that if human beings are constructed from these entangled building blocks, then humans are a special type of matter.
Which means
out there in the cosmos, there must be an opposing macroscopic counterpart, an anti-human.
Yes, which Feng defined as a person's literal other half.
Wow.
But we really need to separate this from the romanticized Hollywood version of a soulmate.
No perfectly lit meet-cutes here.
Exactly. This other half is actually oneself. It is a doppelganger, like an alternate incarnation bound by those exact same quantum rules.
So if your fundamental structure is yang, this counterpart is your yin.
Right.
So we are essentially looking at a unified magnet.
Okay, I like that.
You have one single object, but it inherently possesses a north pole and a south pole. They are part of the exact same whole, but they exist as complete structural opposites.
That's a very solid analogy.
Well, wait, this brings up a massive logical paradox in Shurfeng's own writing, I think.
Oh, how so?
Well, you just said they are our structural opposite, the yin to our yang, the antimatter to our matter.
Right.
If that is true, why did the author say earlier that if one particle cries, the other particle cries? If they are my absolute opposite, shouldn't the opposite of me crying be them laughing?
You know, you're hitting on the core paradox that the text wrestles with. And the answer requires us to separate structural reality from experiential reality.
Okay, break that down for me.
They're an opposing factor, structurally.
Huh.
Just like a positron is the exact opposite of an electron.
Right.
But because you are entangled, you share the exact same fate, the exact same respiratory rhythm, and the exact same emotional frequency.
Ah, I see. Meaning they're a mirror of my state, not the mathematical inverse of my mood.
Exactly. And the author uses a grounding analogy to explain how a state changes instantly without a physical mechanism.
Okay.
Think about the exact moment a woman gives birth to her first child.
Right.
In that exact fraction of a second, the husband's mother instantaneously becomes a grandmother.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't matter if the mother is in the hospital waiting room, or in a submarine at the bottom of the ocean, or living on a colony on Mars.
The state changes completely.
Instantaneously, across any distance, without a single physical signal being sent.
Because the relationship defines the state, not the geography.
Right.
That makes the concept of non-local information transfer much more tangible. I really like that.
Yeah, that's clever. And taking that logic back to human emotion, Shufeng argues that if you are sitting at your desk and suddenly feel an overwhelming spike of anxiety for absolute no reason.
Just out of nowhere.
Right. It is because your other half is currently in physical danger and feeling that anxiety.
Whoa.
And when you reach a peak of joy, they experience that climax simultaneously. You are structurally opposed, but experientially identical.
Okay, so if we accept this premise that there is a structural mirror of me out there experiencing my exact emotional peaks and valleys in real time, that implies they have a physical location somewhere.
It does.
If they are feeling my anxiety right now, what environment are they sitting in?
Well, the essay actually lays out a highly specific mapping system for this.
Really?
Yeah, across 20 parallel worlds and 36 dimensional spaces.
36 dimensions. That is intense.
It is. And because your emotional frequencies are perfectly entangled, your current emotional baseline acts as a kind of cosmic compass to locate them.
The mapping system in the text is wild, though. I was looking at this. It states that if you are living in a constant state of joy, happiness, and freedom, your other half is literally located in heaven.
Right.
But if you are consumed by desire, greed, and placing all your value on money, power, or lust, your other half is walking right here on Earth.
Yeah, and the map extends downward as well.
Downward.
Yeah, so if you are chronically trapped in a state of anxiety, worry, and fear, your other half is navigating the animal world.
Big animal world.
The animal world. And if you are constantly simmering in anger, agitation, or severe depression, your other half is undeniably residing in hell.
Wait, I need to pause on this. Why does anxiety specifically tether my other half to the animal world? What is the actual structural logic there?
I know, it sounds random at first.
Yeah, the text can't just be throwing darts at a board of dimensions.
No, it's not arbitrary. It basically comes down to vibrational frequency and causality.
Okay.
Shufeng's philosophy aligns specific emotional states with the fundamental mechanics of those dimensions. So let's look at the animal world.
All right.
In this philosophical framework, the animal realm is governed entirely by biological survival mechanics.
Fight, flight, predator, prey.
Exactly. The dominant frequency of survival is chronic anxiety and hypervigilance.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, if your baseline frequency is fear, you are resonating at the exact frequency of that dimension.
Which tethers your counterpart to that plane.
Bingo.
So, following that logic, depression and anger resonate with hell because hell represents a dimension of crushing density and absolute stagnation.
Precisely.
The emotional gravity of depression matches the structural gravity of that dimension.
That is the exact causality the author is implying. And conversely, joy and freedom are light, unattached frequencies.
Which allows your counterpart to ascend to higher dimensional planes like heaven.
Exactly.
You know, I have to say, I'm sorry, but that sounds like a massive philosophical cop-out.
Why do you say that?
Well, think about what this implies for human agency. If I am struggling with severe anger or depression, Shu-Feng is essentially saying, well, it's not your fault. Your other half is just having a terrible time in hell.
I hear you.
Doesn't this entire entangled mapping system strip me of all my individual agency? I mean, I'm just a passive receiver in this scenario.
It definitely sounds like a total loss of agency on the surface, but Su Weifeng actually argues the exact opposite.
Wait, really? How?
Because this framework is presented as a radical call to action.
A call to action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you are perfectly entangled. You aren't just receiving their signal. You are broadcasting yours.
Oh.
Your current emotional state is the only steering wheel you actually have.
So by forcing myself to cultivate joy, I'm literally altering the frequency of my counterpart.
Yes.
And effectively pulling them out of a lower dimension.
Exactly. The author uses a really brilliant metaphor here,
Okay.
describing a person who hasn't realized this connection as a kite flying on its own.
A kite flying on its own, meaning implying you are completely at the mercy of the wind.
Totally.
Just being violently yanked around by whatever turbulence is happening on the other end of the string.
Right. So to stop being yanked around, to escape that passive turbulence, Swefeng says you must achieve self-harmony.
Self-harmony.
Yeah. The essay points to the Tai Chi diagram, what it refers to as the first diagram of China, as the ultimate blueprint for this.
The yin-yang symbol.
Yeah, that S-curve in the middle of the symbol represents the dynamic balance required to master your destiny. Without finding that completeness, you can never reach the highest peaks of conscious existence.
You just stay stuck.
Right, you will just endlessly cycle through mundane, low-frequency worlds.
But hold on, we established earlier in the physics discussion that this other half is our antiparticle.
Yes, our antimatter.
Right. And the foundational rule of quantum mechanics is that if matter and antimatter ever actually embrace, they perish.
They do.
They annihilate each other instantly.
That is the quantum annihilation effect, yes.
Yeah.
When paired particles and antiparticles collide, they release immense catastrophic energy and completely disappear from the material world.
So what does this all mean?
Well,
The author's telling us we have to spend our entire lives trying to track down and connect with this other half so we aren't just a kite blowing in the wind.
right.
But the moment we actually succeed, we explode into background radiation and cease to exist.
It does sound extreme.
Is this essentially a philosophical argument for literal self-destruction?
Okay, if we connect this to the bigger picture of the text, it is not about destruction at all.
Then what is it?
It's about metamorphosis.
Mm-hmm.
The author challenges the reader directly, asking, does disappearing from the material physical world equate to complete death?
Oh.
And in Shuifeng's cosmology, the answer is a resounding no.
Because the physical body isn't the totality of the organism.
Exactly. The essay outlines that the universe is constructed of three essential distinct elements:
Okay, what are they?
consciousness, structure, and energy.
Consciousness, structure, energy.
Got it. So when you finally meet your anti-human, the physical body, which represents mere structure, disappears.
Right, the annihilation.
Yes. The energy that was binding that structure is violently released. But the consciousness, which the author argues is the true, indestructible essence of life, survives the annihilation.
Wow. So the physical form is essentially just a heavy, low-frequency container.
Exactly. Annihilation isn't a death sentence. It's the shedding of the material anchor.
Okay.
Once that structural weight is gone, the surviving consciousness is forcefully elevated into a higher level of life form.
Like ascending.
Yes. Suifeng describes this as ascending to the highest dimensional realm, the Elysium world,
The Elysium world.
which is equated to becoming a celestial being or attaining a state of Buddhahood.
So the annihilation is just the necessary fuel for the elevation. It's like the rocket booster falling away so the capsule can break orbit.
That is a perfect way to visualize it.
Okay, assuming someone listening wants to achieve this ultimate conscious metamorphosis,
Sure.
how does one actually go about locating an anti-human doppelganger who is scattered somewhere across 36 dimensions? What is the tactical approach here?
Well, the author is brutally candid about this part.
Oh boy.
Yeah. From a theoretical and conventional perspective, it is mechanically impossible to meet them
Mechanically impossible. Why?
because of the structural resistance baked into your relationship.
Oh, because they're opposite.
Exactly. Remember, you are fundamentally opposed. So they basically play a cosmic game of hide and seek with you.
Hide and seek.
Yeah, if you purposefully move to the left to find them, your other half moves to the right. If you move forward, they move backward.
You know, I want to upgrade the metaphor here because it's not just like trying to catch a shadow.
Okay, what is it?
It's like trying to push two identical magnetic north poles together.
Oh, absolutely.
The closer you bring them, the stronger the physical field repels them. Your very desire to find them creates the structural resistance that pushes them further away.
That captures the physics of it perfectly. The author describes them as mischievous and willful.
Mischievous and willful. I love that.
Right. The more desperately you seek them, the further they recede. Paradoxically, the more you avoid them, the closer they drift towards you.
Yeah.
You just cannot force an embrace through sheer will.
That seems like an incredibly frustrating dead end, though. Does Weifeng offer any actual hope, or are we just doomed to magnetically repel our other half until the end of time?
There is a pathway, though I wouldn't call it a tactical map.
Okay.
The author quotes an ancient saying, "If one contemplates the heavens and earth often, one will eventually understand the profound principles." The implication is that through deep, sustained contemplation of these cosmic laws, by aligning your frequency rather than trying to force a physical meeting, it becomes possible to transcend the conventional structural resistance.
But then, right at the very end of the essay, Schwething kind of pulls a massive rug out from under the reader.
Yeah, they really do.
After building this incredibly intricate architecture of Tai Chi, antimatter, and the singular other half, the author openly calls this entire concept a mind game.
A hypothesis to play with.
Yeah. Furthermore, they bring the focus back to actual quantum science, pointing out that entanglement doesn't just happen in pairs.
Right.
It usually involves non-local, strong correlations between multiple quantum systems.
Yes.
Doesn't acknowledging that entirely shatter the other half theory? I mean, the whole premise was a pair.
This raises an important question about how we should interpret philosophical frameworks that use physics as a jumping-off point.
Okay.
I don't read that ending as Schwefeng undermining the theory. I read it as an invitation to expand it exponentially.
To expand?
Yeah. By acknowledging that quantum systems involve vast networks of entangled particles, the author is demanding the reader remain open-minded. The dualistic other half is simply the most accessible way for a human brain to comprehend our profound connection to the universe.
Oh, I see. It's the entry-level model.
Exactly.
The reality is infinitely more chaotic. We aren't just locked in a binary duet with one person on the other side of the universe. We are tangled up in a massive, multidimensional web.
We are.
Our affinity might be linked to hundreds or thousands of different factors simultaneously.
The duality of yin and yang is just the first layer of the fractal. The true reality is a network of infinite, interconnected complexity.
Wow. What a spectacularly wild journey this text has taken us on today.
Seriously.
We started with the mathematical reality of non-local quantum particles.
Yep.
We mapped that scientific foundation onto ancient yin-yang philosophy to build the architecture of an anti-human doppelganger.
Yep.
We explored the causality of tracking that counterpart across 36 dimensions, using our biological emotional frequencies as a literal steering wheel.
Which is wild.
All leading to the ultimate concept of conscious metamorphosis through structural annihilation. I mean, it completely rewires how you view your own daily existence.
It really forces a total reevaluation of your emotional baseline.
It does.
It demands that you look at your passing moods not as isolated internal events, but as active tuning forks vibrating across dimensions.
Absolutely.
And to that end, for you listening right now, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over, building directly on that chaotic revelation at the end of the essay.
Please do.
Riffing leaves us with the staggering reality that quantum entanglement is rarely limited to just two particles.
Right.
It is a vast, invisible network. If our anxieties, our joys, and our fates are instantaneously mirrored across 36 dimensions with a sprawling web of complex quantum systems,
Yeah.
whose joy are you experiencing right now? And whose invisible strings are you unknowingly pulling with your very next thought?
That is a terrifying and beautiful thing to think about. Thank you so much for breaking down the mechanics of this with us.
My pleasure.
And to you listening, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, pay close attention to your frequency.